I struggle calling it a report.
Development.
Development's almost more serious than a report.
Someone wrote something.
Someone wrote something, Liam. That is correct. Nick Kypreos wrote this. He has his first Kippers trade board.
When did he start doing this?
He started doing it last year.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. Here's what he says about Jordan Binnington, who is the number one name on his board. Binnington has one more season on his contract, and the sense is he won't be part of any retool the Blues might undergo. The strongest speculation ties Binnington to Edmonton, and that the Oilers are also seeing if they can get a defenseman out of St. Louis at the same time. The potential deal would most likely be built around Stuart Skinner going to St. Louis to team up with Joel Hofer. So here is the facts.
Here's one fact quickly. Joel Hofer and Stuart Skinner won a WHL championship together.
Correct. Jordan Binnington has a modified no-trade clause and a cap hit of $6 million next year. One would assume Edmonton would be a team he would waive for, particularly going into a contract season, but he has a $6 million cap hit this year and next year that you have to keep in mind when talking about any potential Jordan Binnington trade. Here are the defensemen the Blues have. Justin Falk, trade protection, $6.5 million. Colton Parayko, 4 more years at $6.5 million. Full no-trade clause. St. Albert boy, shout out St. Albert. He might be willing to waive. Philip Broberg is not coming here. Cam Fowler, $4 million and then 3 years of $6.1 million. Full trade protection. American-born defenseman. He's not coming here. Tyler Tucker, Logan Mailloux, and Matthew Kessel are their other D-men. Outside of Parayko, I don't see one there. If Darnell Nurse is willing to waive to go to St. Louis, he won't be. And St. Louis was willing to take on Darnell Nurse, they won't be. Then I could see a move for Parayko. But it seems highly unlikely that the Oilers could fit in a player like that this season. This summer, would a Binnington cap hit make sense? You could make it work. Would Parayko's cap hit make sense? You could certainly make that work this summer. In season, in order to acquire, let's call it Parayko and go pie in the sky, Liam. How are you getting $12.5 million in salary out of this, or out of your roster to complete this trade? Let's even say St. Louis keeps 50% on Binnington. $9.5 million of salary. Darnell Nurse ain't going out the door. So to get 9.5, it's Kulak and Skinner. Okay, you're still $4 million short of accomplishing this. You could try to flip Adam Henrique somewhere else and be like, hey, Rico, waive, we'll send you to Toronto or wherever. You can go try win a cup there and you'll play more there. Okay, you're still like $1.5 million away from getting to the number you need to get to. And that's not including the fact that now you've thrown other pieces off your roster that you then have to replace. Also, one more thing. I think acquiring Jordan Binnington at any point is a terrible idea, particularly if it's going to cost you Stuart Skinner. So far this season, goalies who have played at least 10 games in the NHL, save percentage above expected, Jordan Binnington ranks 36 of 37 goalies. You want to take a stab at who 37 is?
Joel Hofer.
No, he's 35. Sam Montembeau's 37. Stuart Skinner has been better this season than Jordan Binnington by pretty much every metric you can throw together.
So when you hear about bad goaltending, Edmonton is often a team thrown into that conversation.
Yep.
The other team that is thrown into that conversation and labeled as atrocious by many reporters around the NHL is the St. Louis Blues. I'm just struggling to find a way this works well for Edmonton. I just can't wrap my head around it. I know Binnington's won a cup. He did well at the Four Nations. I got all that. I'm sure that's a positive or where people will push it in that direction to try and wrap their heads around it. But I just don't think this would be an upgrade for Edmonton. I think Edmonton needs to find an upgrade out there. I would prefer it with Skinner and insert new goalie to make it work that way. I just don't think this makes a lot of sense for Edmonton to go and do. And if you think this makes sense for the Oilers, please let us know in the chat. I know we're going to wrap up
and let
fairly
me know
quickly.
why.
But yeah, I'd like to know a reason why, because I just think that Binnington's been terrible this season. And if you think a change of scenery is something, like, sure, that's something I would typically agree with, but I just don't think you can allow someone with a $6 million cap hit have a change of scenery on a team that is so desperate to win a Stanley Cup. And I just don't think Skinner is. It isn't a situation of like, hey, we have two guys who are at the lowest of lows, and they need to switch. We just need. Both deserve to go to new spots. I don't think Skinner's there yet. I don't think he's that close to it. I don't think he's played. He's not played perfectly by any means, but the expectation isn't for him to play perfectly. But yeah, I'm hard out on this one. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And even if they were to throw a defenseman in, the only one that financially makes any sense is Tyler Tucker, and you're just adding another left-handed defenseman.
He's just Ty Amberson.
Yeah, maybe. And
right? Like, I mean
he's 25. He might be a decent player. I think he's fine. He definitely makes you a little bit tougher. I agree. I unless they're replacing Regula with him, but I just don't think that's really worth it.
And Naeem goes, I'm just at the point with Skinner and Pickard where I just don't want to see them anymore. Seen enough. General managers can't react that emotionally.
Yeah, I don't think
you can't just bring in a shittier or a shitty high-paid goalie in Binnington and be like, problem solved. He won a cup 7 years ago. He played good at the Four Nations in one game with an all-star team in front of him.
Yeah, and Naeem did go on to say it's like Binnington is someone I wouldn't target as well. But I understand like the frustration with those guys. And Tyler in the chat said moving on from Skinner would be for someone like Sorokin or Saros that needs to come back. I believe we can just label it as an upgrade. Like I just I cannot believe this. And I don't think Stan Bowman, who I think has done a pretty decent job, is in hindsight looking back earlier in the season, a couple of his other gambles, you could call, haven't paid off yet. But I think this would be way too big of a gamble. Way too big. I just can't wrap my head around it.
It would be doubling down on a 12 at the blackjack table. Could it work? Maybe. Stupid statistical decision.
The other side of it, too. If you have an out on Skinner at the end of the season if you want it. You do not have that out on Binnington.
Great point. Great point, Liam.
Thank you. I don't know. To be honest, if Vancouver was like, we're selling everyone, I'd be calling for Demko before that kicks in. I know he's injured right now, but we also saw what he could do when he's healthy. But I'd also be calling for Kevin Lankinen.
Bingo. I'd call for Lankinen.
Yeah. I'd call either of them like, hey, like, what's the deal here?
$4.5 million.
Yeah. I would honestly... I don't know if maybe I would trade Skinner for him. I don't know where I would go with that. You'd have to make it work. I'd have to think about it a little harder, but he'd be someone I would have interest in for sure.
Yeah.
He's a good goalie. I can't believe, again, he's a year removed from just not having a team.
You can find goalies sometimes.
Sometimes you can. He would be someone I would seriously look at.
All right. What's up, Nation citizens? If you enjoyed today's episode of Oilers Nation Everyday, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube to not miss any of our content. We got you covered from interviews, insight, analysis, everything you need to stay up to date on everything around the team. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video.